I am Charindra Vijayamana. I am the CTO, co-founder of Maturify. I can't say I was aspiring to be an entrepreneur since my childhood. I didn't really have any entrepreneurs that I looked up to or lived around or anything. But as I was growing up, I always had this need to do my own thing. I was a bit scared to jump upon it just because I felt like it, but it was a thought behind my mind, I would say. So once I finished my education, I started working at a corporate, worked for about 6+ years. And when I was working there was a need that actually came up in lines of learning and development in teams. So with that, I think with that opportunity, my whole thought process re-emerged, and with that, I sort of wanted to jump upon the opportunity, and I was lucky enough the company I was working for really supported me to go towards that path and start up something around the idea. So if I come back to the question, I think it's that passion and the drive I had to do my own thing and to one day be able to say we sort of build this with my team. Being an entrepreneur is not that easy for me because I don't have any background in business or finance or anything of that sort. So there's always something new that I have to learn. It's really interesting because there's always something new, and it's also a bit overwhelming at times because there's a little too much to learn, I suppose. However, if you just look at the technology side itself, there's so much that's coming up every day. The technology is changing, the trends are changing. So to keep up with that, to see if we can incorporate it to the product, it's a lot of work itself. But for me, I also have to learn marketing, sales, customer acquisition, and all of that. So for me to grow as a technopreneur, I think what I needed to do the most is to make sure I learn and develop myself in all different aspects. So I ensure I at least spend a couple of hours every week to learn something, discover something, improve myself. I know ideally it would be better if we can do it on a daily basis, but I'm still part of a startup that is with a very small team. So with the work, I somehow though manage to at least do it on a weekly basis. And when you say learning, it's not just about the technology or marketing or HR or anything of that sort, just at a wider scope, I'd say, because then it helps you improve your thinking pattern as well as change your perspective on certain things, which I think is essential when you have to grow as a technopreneur. I would say anything apart from requirement gathering for the product and coding, everything is out of my comfort zone. But if you actually look at entrepreneurs like female entrepreneurs, it's not very easy because people tend to second guess your work or your abilities, I would say. So with that, and another thing is, in general, I feel females are a little held back when they have something to express. So if they have a great idea, or even if they want funding, they generally tend to hold back more. So that combined with the second guessing of people around you, it sort of affects your confidence, the way you see yourself, the self-belief and all of that. So generally, for me, it has happened definitely. And when you have to do something out of the ordinary, everything feels like it's out of your comfort zone. But I think the best thing I've learned about it is you have to sort of get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the best way to get over it.
For me to be in this industry as a tech entrepreneur, the key motivator was the ability or the opportunity to make a revolution 17 years ago. That time we didn't call it a disruption, but actually it was a true disruption that I think that really excited me to get into a mobile-led technology industry. So the idea of a mobile-centered marketing technology company came by looking at the status quo, what was in the market at that point. Like the need to be a one-to-one led communication channel, because the current existing channels at that point didn't have that ability. So looking at the tech-centered solution actually became one of the key fundamentals to start Z Messenger, as also the impact of mobile. We felt it way before that actually impacted people's lives. So the fourth screen, actually the mobile screen, really excited us to be in this space today. My idea is for you to be a tech entrepreneur, you don't have to be tech savvy. Having a tech background would be definitely an added advantage. But for you to succeed in this industry, I think what matters is the fundamentals of entrepreneurship and leadership. If you have a great leadership skills, problem solving ability, which is of course it could be around tech, as well as if you are open to discuss your idea without being afraid of it, no matter how trivial it may seem at the first when you present it. I think those are the fundamental reasons for you to succeed as a technopreneur. I think being a successful technopreneur is one thing, but being a successful entrepreneur, definitely. I have a little cliche that I always say, you have to be PhD. It doesn't mean that you have to have a postgraduate diploma, but rather I would say P stands for poor, H stands for hungry, and D for driven. Coupled with that, because as long as you have that drive, that's what I just say, you have to have the drive. On top of that, you need to have resilience, because definitely there will be enough setbacks in your entrepreneurial journey, and it's inevitable. I won't say it's like a very cakewalk for anybody else. And the fifth one is delayed gratification, which means because we are right now in a society, we look for always instant gratification, but in entrepreneurial journey, the success takes time. Mine, it took 9 years. So if you can stand, you can patiently wait and doing the right thing, definitely the tipping point happens, and your tech enterprise is bound to go to higher places.
Hi, I'm Lakmini Vijayasundara, co-founder and CEO of Iron One Technologies and BoardPack. So Iron One started off as a services company. We did services. One is to live really for the financial requirement, and the second one is to ensure that we found the correct innovative product. So finding an innovative product, pretty much doing services for other companies, we came across so many solutions. In fact, BoardPack is not the first successful product. It's probably like the 7th. And we do have a couple of others which are successful in its own right. But I must say BoardPack has been our most successful product out here between the two companies, BoardPack and Iron One. So that's how it really started. And Nations Trust Bank is a company that pretty much the chairman, he had his iPad. He wanted iPad-enabled board meetings. Simple as that. And then the requirement came to us because we were very much a services company, assisting the CIO of Nations Trust at that time, and being that trusted vendor, they called us. And we built this. I mean that first version is nothing like what we have now, but as your question goes, this is how we started. So thereafter, of course, we found that very soon, many companies, so like from Bank of Ceylon to all the banks, larger companies here, and then simply we found Asia wanted it. And then over 30 countries are using BoardPack, with over 1,000 companies using BoardPack around the world. And it's a simple start, really. Yes, so the first thing is you have to undeniably believe that what you're doing is successful. People around you, even within your company, even your partners, may or may not quite believe that. So there has to be this entrepreneur, a technopreneur, who has to carry this torch irrespective and defend it externally and internally. So that's the first thing. So just to give you an example, so BoardPack right now, we are selling in 30 countries, and that product is pretty much usable online. We can sell it to countries even in like Greece, Russia, Antigua, some of these country names may not be the common names that Sri Lankan products are sold in. But that's not how it started. When it started, I mean, literally, I remember the time that even my own business partners used to ask, so Lucky, so why do you think this will work? When I Google, I see SharePoint, I see Microsoft, I see, so many ERPs out there in the world. They can easily and probably do meetings. So why do you think that you can do board meetings better than them? So this is where it started. So if you're a tech startup, an entrepreneur, you have to be ready to defend what you believe in. And the fact that I mean, if I gave up at that time and thought easily we could have given up. But the fact that I believed in it, we carried it through. And now, several years after, seeing, thousands of companies using BoardPack versus some of these other products I mentioned, that question doesn't come up. So that probably is the biggest thing that I would like to share as a success factor. So to start off with, to be a technopreneur or entrepreneur itself is considered crazy by most people. And unless you really love it and you enjoy this sort of chaotic or non-comfort zone situation, it is almost not possible to be an entrepreneur. So that's the status. So really speaking, to be a entrepreneur, you're starting out itself. The first thing is you have to find a sellable product, a product that works. That part is completely not a comfort zone, because you'll be having to defend yourself on how good this product is at the start. So finally, when you get to a state that that product is sellable and you have customers, again the comfort zone goes away, because you have to sell to multiple people, maybe a couple of countries. At that point, that is crazy itself. And then there's no comfort zone, horizon keeps moving. And once you establish that this is a good product used by maybe some couple of countries, all that, you have to scale up. So it's a constant set of horizons or goals moving. And I must add that at the point you come to your comfort zone or you give in to a comfort zone, that is when you stop growing. That's the end. That's probably when you give it up to acquisition. So that's my view on comfort zone.
Hi, I'm Pulani Ranasinghe. I'm the founder Loans Lab. Well, I would say from the beginning, my journey was not a smooth one. So it had so many differences and so many unplanned moments. So first one, I would say me doing biology and getting selected to do IT. So I think that was one of the very tough moments, because the whole life plan was suddenly became different. But one thing I always did was whatever the thing I do, I try to do something different than the crowd. So when I was doing IT, I was doing so much of other or extra activities and so much of things. So by then, I was looking for myself and I was looking for my path. So then I realized, so one good thing would be to become an entrepreneur, actually a technopreneur. So that was my target when I was in my university. So it's all because of the changes, and it's all because of the fact that I wanted to do things differently from the crowd. Well, I would say when doing a business, every day is like a roller coaster. But I'll bring you the two toughest moments I came across. The first one would be starting up, of course, because after my university, after my graduation, I went to a job and my parents are quite happy with it, and I was earning a good, decent salary. And actually if I say about my background, at my family, no one is an entrepreneur. Everyone is doing a job and everyone is engaging in a very comfortable lifestyle. But when I said this idea to my mother, and it was like crazy. But actually what I did is I hand over my resignation, and then only I told my parents that I'm officially doing it. So afterwards, it was like end of the world in my home for a couple of days. So that's one of the very toughest moments for me to tackle up, because I actually wanted full cooperation of the family, because that is something a very fresh or the new journey that I'm hoping to start. But somehow eventually they helped me out. So that is one of the very toughest moment, I would say. And the next one I want to bring out is when I was doing my company, I started with 2 other guys who were doing my company part-time, and I was the one who moved full-time. So after a little while, I realized, like couple of months, because they are doing it in part-time basis, the enthusiasm or the work that they do was not the same. So I actually want things to smooth out. So what I did is we called a meeting and we just see like what can we do. So surprisingly, what happened was they decided to leave instead of cooperating. They said like they're holding me back, so the best would be for me to go forward alone. So at that moment was one of my biggest challenges, I would say, even than quitting my job. Because at that point I was not in a state to look back, but I wanted to do it somehow. But suddenly I was all alone in my business and I had to take it on my own. So I think those 2 moments are the toughest moment so far in my business. Well, for startup technopreneurs, like from my experience and from my personal view, I would advise to start soon as possible, because then you have a lot of time. If you want to go back or if you want to fail, like everyone say, I would say fail fast. And also, don't just like plan too much before actually getting into water. Just I would say like get into water and see what it's like. And then of course you can plan it afterwards. So I would encourage you to like start as soon as possible, when you have time, when you have resources around you, when you have your supporting network around you. So I would like actually ask people to start. That would be my advice.
Hi, I'm Linda Speldevin, founder of AOD and the chairperson of the design group of companies. Yeah, so I think I see technopreneurship as a new breed of entrepreneurship, really. And I think, the driving force for any entrepreneur really is you really believe that you can change the world. I mean, it takes different forms at different stages, but I do believe there is no better time to be an entrepreneur and to deliver to that calling than now in this post-pandemic world. So right now, I think most entrepreneurs are called upon to imagine beyond their business space. And the world really is a blank canvas if you're an entrepreneur right now. So I think entrepreneurship really is a calling, and to me, that calling and that I really feel that you can change the world with entrepreneurship has been my driving force. So I think one of our key advantages, I feel, is that we've truly been able to unleash the power of women at work. Not that we planned it that way, but our senior leadership are all women. And I think one of the things is that when women do come to work here, that they don't have to look over their shoulder. They can truly be who they are. So they are not leaving half their selves back at home or somewhere else and coming and being someone else. They don't have to be anything else other than themselves. So diversity, authenticity, really, being able to unleash your true power without worrying about anything. So I really feel when I look back that we've been able to harness all this power and really differentiate ourselves. I mean, I do believe the future is going to be gender neutral and we are all on a journey. But right now, from where we are, when I look back, this certainly is a competitive advantage that we've benefited from. And I think many organizations and even today's modern day men are also very receptive to things. So I think, today modern day organizations can reap this benefit from actually unleashing the true power that women can bring to an organization. Yeah, so I think first is that you belong to this new breed of entrepreneurs as a technopreneur, and you're already future-proof, but the same startup advice would apply to you too, that applies to an entrepreneur. And I think the first fundamental thing is to remember why you did decide to be an entrepreneur. And that is this power that you feel that you can change the world. And I think that's something you got to always remember. And you need to somehow protect your DNA and how you bring yourself into this world. There are not many entrepreneurs for a reason, because it is a special calling and it does require you to to protect your individuality to some extent to deliver to that calling. So, my advice would be first is protect yourself and have this unique, way of bringing yourself to this world and do whatever that works for you to deliver to that. And second is, as an entrepreneur, your fundamental skill is that you can envision the world. You dream up things and you're able to bring other people and get them to believe that. So sometimes people can't see what you're talking about. So you got to hold their hand and bring them to a particular point till they can see it with you. So that's my second piece of advice, is that your ability to envision is really important. And the third is, no matter how senior an entrepreneur you are, people will always tell you that you can't do stuff. So you got to really be able to, close your ears, see what you envision and the impact that can drive and lead yourself towards that. And you also have, finally, you also have to have the ability to go through a turbulent space. As an entrepreneur, it's like being on a turbulent flight all the time. And if you can't be comfortable being on that turbulent flight, you just cannot be an entrepreneur. So when you are on that turbulent space, you need to remember that there is a reason why everybody is not an entrepreneur. And this is your comfort space. And you got to stay there.
I'm Utpali Tilakaratna, co-founder of Tresified Technologies. We are a supply chain traceability platform that uses blockchain technology at its base. I've always been interested in technology, and after so many years of being in the corporate sector, I really wanted to do something that I was passionate about and be able to build something that had a positive impact in our lifestyles. I believe so. I think technology gives us this great opportunity, as the recent pandemic has proved, to be able to work in different locations at different times. And also, as women, we have a very unique set of challenges, because we can't really separate our profession with our personal life. So to be able to be really successful, you have to have a very good support system with your personal and professional lives. And also, I think it's important to focus on improving oneself over time rather than trying to perfect overnight. I think all of that combined is a very good recipe for success. The entire experience has been a really great journey. But having said that, it's really exciting to know that Tresified has been recognized and rewarded from early stage. And one of my most exciting memories or achievements is us winning the best sustainable startup pitch at Oslo Innovation Week in 2018, because that was the first time that we were rewarded and recognized at an international platform.